Well, folks. Very different occasion here. Back on Wrestle Purist. It is great to be back. I see a grinner. I see a somewhat grinner. As someone termed this show on Twitter, the hater, the hooper, and the Hulbert, which is something I'm going to officially go with, even if Monty doesn't give it the green light. Shout out to whoever does me as Rice fan. Monday show. This is something we're going to add to the schedule here at Wrestle Purist, or Monty's going to add. I'm just a talent being booked for the program. We got a lot to get into. Expert panel as always. Monty, I'll start with you. The man behind this program, the man that paid the rights fees. I signed a new contract with. How you doing tonight, pal?
Yeah, man, I'm chilling. Wrestling's back. Said that a few times.
Yeah.
I've said it's over a few times. Yeah, man. Chilling.
Yeah, absolutely. Manny, how are you, pal?
I'm all right. WarGames, I guess. I don't know.
Just going to immediately bury the opening segment of the show. Is that what you're doing? Okay. I respect that.
Man, he's not impressed.
I've been watching a lot of All Japan this morning. I mean,
yeah, they didn't do WarGames, right?
No.
They
didn't need that.
No, didn't need it. It's been really interesting. We all talk about the discourse a lot, and I don't want this show to become a commentary of the discourse because I think we all do too much of that, But it has been really interesting to watch the reaction to WarGames, like the initial buzz and the way it transferred. Look at that! The Samoa Joe chant there leading the way. Also, see you again, Joe. Thank you very much
for the
hopefully I get paid that. Manny and Monty are also great, but Joe, I appreciate it. I shouldn't probably have read it myself. I should have got Monty to do it. You know what I mean? Put me over, but I appreciate it, bro. Great stuff. I forget you can do this now. When last time I was here, you couldn't do the super chats. You guys have grown in my absence. This is often the case with wrestling platforms. I guess I should promote that, right? Send a super chat if you would like. Is that a thing we do here? Do we promote those?
Yes,
All right.
We draw. It's always weird, isn't it?
It feels
send us money. We're talking about wrestling.
Yeah. Hey guys, wants to read your comments? Send us real money in this wrestling conversation. Do what you want to do, guys. It's fine. But if you could like and subscribe, that actually helps.
Yeah.
That ain't a big deal. If you don't have to pay to do that, right, Monty? You don't have to pay.
The subs, we need those. We need the subs.
Yeah. There you go, folks. Yeah, it's been interesting to watch the reaction to WarGames. Monty, I'll go to you because you run the big account there, and I'm sure you see all sorts of responses to these kind of stories. But from my perspective, there was this initial buzz where everyone was fired up, and then it sort of slowly, the alternative view. Even myself, I did it. So I kind of started get down in my excitement, so on and so forth. Much going on. What was the reaction you got from the WarGames story that broke today?
I try not to look too much at reactions, to be honest.
Good idea.
But I've just pulled up the tweet that we did.
Yeah.
Is it everyone's just fantasy booking stuff, really? The bloodline's mentioned in every other tweet,
Mm-hmm.
Which is normally the case with big WWE news, to be honest.
Yeah, I think fairly in this case, though, right?
I think people overall are excited for it,
I think so.
There's a few manis out there who are like.
Well, this is what we need to get to. Manny, what was your reaction when you saw the big scoop? Did you have an immediate sort of sense of rage, or did you just kind of immediately prepare agendas? Where did you go with this?
The first thing I thought about was, I can't believe we're celebrating war. It's just not my kind of thing. So.
He didn't sell. Look at his face. Bro, that's crazy the way you sold that. That's good shit. Carry on.
And then they make it seem like a game because they put games at the end of the WarGames. So, it is what it is, Mm-hmm. So it's just going to be another high spot cage match that they've been doing at NXT and AEW. And there's going to be no blood. So, I mean, what's the point?
Yeah.
And I need Alexa Bliss to run the blade.
Yeah, factual. We'll get into that in a minute. In all seriousness, that is a relevant part of this, right? I love the idea of WarGames, always and forever, because it's WarGames. It's an all-time great concept, even if the results on it have been kind of mixed through history for a range of reasons. I have to admit, though, that I did, after an hour after the news broke, my brain did realize the kind of war games that we've generally got under Triple H's watch. And I'm not here to say they're bad because they're not bad. They always got over live and people had fun with them. But like, I can't tell you that that I love that particular genre of war games. Like
It's
the
different.
the dives and the table spots and like. I get it, man. It's probably the right way to do it. But yeah, it's probably
version.
But if we're being real, for those crowds, it's probably the right way to do it. But I can't pretend that I don't kind of roll my eyes at it a little bit. So that part does take the shine off it slightly for me, I have to be honest.
And another thing, too, is like the NXT War Games is like crazy because everybody's willing to do the high spots and stuff. I don't know if we're going to get those the wrestlers on the main roster that are going to want to do all that crazy stuff anyways. So you're just going to cut the match in half. You're going to neuter the match even more.
I think
so.
Well, this actually just kind of roughly look at this. So the Bloodline are not going to be. I mean, the Usos may do something off the. I mean, I guess they could do their splash deal right off the cage. I guess I doubt it. Honestly,
Nah,
bad knees. So you're going to look at the baby faces. Drew Mack would do anything if fucking Triple H asked him. He'd do anything, bro. He'd do anything. He's going to be in there. I would assume. I think Riddle's going to be in there, and he was in those War Games matches. Because someone mentioned it, I think it might end up being like an all-star team of guys the Bloodline will fuck with, Like I could see that being the way they go, and that could be effective. I think the match is. I'll put it this way: I think it's more complex than people give it credit for. Like, there's a version of War Games I love that is more like guys throwing punches and bleeding everywhere, and it isn't stunt heavy. It's more like just grueling. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the crowd that's going to Survivor Series wants that match. I think actually they'd much prefer guys fall through tables and, going with kendo sticks and shit like that.
Yeah, a little bit of plunder,
Yeah.
That's where we lost the plot.
Honestly. Maybe. I don't know, man. It's hard. Like, if we're being real, if we're really going to analyze War Games, like, War Games was reliant on a certain level of heat and, like, emotional investment
Definitely.
that I haven't seen, like, WWE crowds react more to like moments, catchphrases, moves, spectacles. They very seldom come with a certain heat of like true passion for it. Nothing wrong with that. They just watch it differently. But, I don't think you're going to have fans in there hoping that the babyfaces kill Roman Reigns in War Games. And with that comes, you have to do it differently. So I think that's going to be kind of a challenge for them. Monty, where do you stand on the stylistic kind of challenges of War Games in WWE?
Well, like we've just kind of gone over. It's just going to be like a modernized, PG.
Mm-hmm.
Manny mentioned earlier Triple H's comments about not bleeding.
Yeah.
I think he's full of shit, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Cody Rhodes in his ear for 5 minutes. It's not going to take him a lot of convincing, but in terms of like having heated feuds for it, like you said, they don't really exist that much anymore. Even when I think of possibilities to get there, it's like people are really into the Sami Zayn stuff in the Bloodline. But it's like how close is Survivor Series? You don't really want to rush through that story and do like, say for example, Team Owens versus the Bloodline.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Or you could do it as obviously Sami as part of the Bloodline,
Well, here's the key: is Roman going to work this show? Because that's
what venue? What's the venue?
This is the Boston, TD Garden.
He only does the big houses.
It's a pretty big one. Pretty big. It's the NBA arena, so that's pretty big.
The house
I
in Bird
think so.
Factual, yeah. Because the key to that is if Roman's not, they could very likely do Usos, Sami, and Solo, and just give Roman the night off because that seems to be kind of in play with what they generally do now.
No, they can't do that for the first man roster War Games.
Well, I think they absolutely could do that. I don't think either of us would be surprised if they did do that. If it was exactly like something they would do. As a fan, I would like Roman to be in there.
Yeah, obviously, big star.
Yeah, but it's just interesting because if Roman's in there, then you can start talking about if Sami's on the other side. I think the core of the match, from a kind of hook point of view, this is the men's match from out here, obviously, because the other one I think is the women's match is interesting in another way. But if the men's War Games is going to really hook people, Sami and Kevin is going to be at the center of that, right? Like you need that story to be in the middle of it. Because other than that, I don't know what you can hook people in that way with and truly excite them. Honestly, I'll tell you this: I'm excited to see, the Bloodline stuff. I haven't watched a ton of it, so I'm not as tired of it as I think some people are. Not to speak for Monty, But I'm really excited to see them work WarGames, man. I think the Usos could be really good in that setting. Brawling and just fucking fighting in there. I think they could be good at it. So I'm excited to see it, if nothing else.
Usos are kind of like, I don't want to say hit and miss because that seems a bit harsh.
Yeah.
But the amount of big hits that they've had, like for example, the Street Profits match, not both of them, the one.
Mm-hmm.
Those sort of performances seem a lot more, far and few between.
Yeah.
But if they're fired up, you never know.
Would you say that's a result of? Would you say that's a result? What's that, Manny?
Not working Reseda.
That's not what I was going to say, but that's a theory in itself. I think it's look. I want to, the Usos have their faults, but I do think there's a lot of that is like opportunity and the way their matches are agented. I think there's like a handful of times each year they're positioned to have a standout match, a thriller, and they generally, I think, hit more than they miss on those. There are a lot of times where I think they're sent out to have a 10-minute freestyle match, and that's how WWE agents their shows. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, that's just the way they do things and always have done things. So, I don't know, man. I think Jey Uso is like a very good professional wrestler. I think Jimmy has clearly felt the physical impact of that last surgery. He doesn't seem the same to me from what I've seen. But in WarGames, I think they're going to be fun in that thing. Solo Sikoa, assuming he's in it, that is a huge spot for him. Like, what, a 4-year pro? And Monty, I'm the leader of the fan club over there. You know that. I mean, I've been ahead of the curve.
If you haven't seen it, you've didn't you do a lot of video breakdown of Solo and was it Grayson Waller?
And listen, I stick to my guns on that Solo Sikoa. I mean, I thought the match he had with Moss on Friday was like
good bit of business.
Really solid, man. Like really well executed TV wrestling. I thought it was pretty damn good. So I'm excited to see those guys in it. The babyface team should obviously be fun. I can't lie though.
Is this a Discord part?
Oh. No, this was on my God, I don't know when the 30-minute session took place, but I did see a tweet about this where the pitch was from Andrew that Manny would come in as the last member of Team Wrestle Purist and then he'd turn on Hanger and give the late night grin the win. It just popped me very much. It's very good stuff. So shout out to Andrew. That was very good. Thank you for the super chat too. But yeah, it's interesting. I must admit though, my brain immediately went to the women's WarGames match, like because Damage Control is set up in their own way, but that thing's in Boston. Like it sure feels like Sasha should be working that match. I don't know what way you do it. Right? Has to be, right?
It's a layup, man. It's I don't know. Triple H has also been weird with the catch everyone by surprise. Like the whole Gargano not being debuting in Cleveland. Like, so other than that, I don't see why not. To be honest, like I said, it seems like a layup. Easy. It's
I think so.
How long has she been gone now?
5 months, right? 4 months. 4 months. Because after Mania, because they won the belts at Mania, so 5 4 months. Okay, this let's set on like a lineup. So we agree the bloodlines are on the men's side, right, Manny? You're a big WWE fantasy looking guy. Who
he loves it.
Which baby faces are we lining up here? In like an ideal world, this we're trying to be vaguely realistic, but if we were putting this thing together, who do we want to see on that babyface side? And then we'll do the women's match after.
I guess Steen, McIntyre, Riddle.
Great stuff. Yep. And the Profits. Do you put the Profits in there as the team? They've been fighting the Usos for years now. What do you go New Day?
I don't know.
Monty, what do you think?
He just doesn't care.
What do you
think? Is Randy Orton gonna be back by then?
I don't think so. I also think if you said to him, "Hey Randy, do you want to come back and work WarGames?" He'd be like, oh, "Absolutely not." See you on the night after. Jamie thought the same thing I did, which is I initially thought Manny said that Sting should be the first babyface opposite the Bloodline, which got me quite fired up. But I don't know. Where do you stand on this, Monty? What's your team here?
I don't know. It's weird. Right. It depends how the story all plays out and stuff. Because the Usos are they even feuding anyone at the moment? Obviously they've got a match with the Brutes.
Yeah, I think you go to the. I think it's Profits on New Day because they're like lifetime rivals with them. You know,
Sheamus.
I think. I'd love Sheamus. To be in
Anyway,
there,
to get Sheamus in there.
When did that happen?
That could be, dude. If Sheamus was
Friday.
in WarGames.
Wait, so Street Profits and Usos became like lifetime rivals on Friday?
No. I mean the Usos. They'll forever be rivals with those two teams. So I'm saying I think one of them will be in it. I think it will be like. I think Kevin's in there for sure because of the Sammy element. I would assume Drew is in there. One of the two teams we just said, and then the last spot. I see. Don't have an app mentioned Seth. Low Gamer mentioned Riddle. Like
Logan Paul.
There's a.
It's weird because I saw
Logan and Jake Paul as the tag team.
Away, right?
I saw people fantasy booking like maybe 4-on-4 because Sammy turns. So I don't really know if you're going to do Steen Erico as a tag team, and then you do.
You do that. Feels like it's almost slightly. I think it might be too soon though, because as Monty said earlier, like you probably want to let that thing breathe for longer, man. That Sammy thing is like. It doesn't feel like you need to finish that in the next couple of months, to me personally. But I don't watch it that closely, so I could be wrong. You know.
Hopefully it's like a swerve, and it's like Sammy turns on like KO, and he just stays with the bloodline.
Spiteful, very spiteful. Now, the women's match is interesting because if we agree Sasha's back, I think that would mean most likely that that would mean Naomi is back too. I think we're going to get a turn. I've talked about this a lot, especially with Monty just via text, but it feels like Asuka or Alexa, one of them's turning. I would assume Alexa. I'll be tempted to do Asuka for the exact reason that everyone's assuming it's Alexa. I think it'd be interesting, you know? So my rough feeling on it is Damage Control, whichever of the baby faces turns is, say, Alexa, and Rhea as your 5 versus Bianca, Asuka, Sasha, Naomi, Becky. I don't know about you guys. I think that's a pretty fucking good lineup. That's pretty strong if you ask me.
That baby face sword is
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
The All-Stars, bro. That's the genuine All-Star lineup, right? Because Becky's, I'm pretty sure Becky's going to be back soon. I think she may be back very, very soon. So I've seen this a lot. Candice comes up in the chat. I've seen that. I've seen some talk about Tegan too, which was before ours. But like, that's the other interesting thing is you could add someone to that faction rather than Rhea being inserted. You could add someone too. It's interesting. I don't know, Monty, where do you stand on the women's WarGames potential lineup?
I'm worried that I shouldn't say worried. That's spiteful.
Worried.
I think there is a genuine chance that it could be Indy Hartwell on the Damage Control side.
That's what you were worried about. Jesus, man. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I saw a graphic earlier and it was Charlotte in Damage Control versus.
That seems unnecessary. You have to bring that up on the show. I'll take Indy.
Charlotte's waiting for her. Charlotte's waiting for her.
You can't do Charlotte like that. You know? She's how do I put this plot there?
Bro, you do not want to just put her alongside Damage Control. It's a bad idea. She just will chew out the scenery. It's not good. Like, there's a place for Charlotte, obviously. I'm not trying to, but you don't want to do that. It's a bad idea. What would even be the reason for that? Damage Control would hate Charlotte.
I mean, just partners.
Just because. I don't know. It's interesting. I remain intrigued by Asuka being one that turns that vote. I think that's just that would surprise people.
It's gonna be Alexa.
I just think it would surprise
and we're still going to part for it regardless.
Oh, I think Alexa should be a heel. I'm just saying I think it would really catch people off guard. You know what I mean? Like it would stun people. So it intrigues me in that regard. But yeah, I mean there's honestly a chance none of these people turn and they just because this is only the Raw.
Look at this. We're cooking now.
Oh no. My God.
Oh, yep. Now we're talking.
Start WarGames with
we've got the Hoopers' attention. You know.
They start WarGames with Tiffany Stratton and Alexa Bliss, and Monty and I are on Twitter like, "Holy shit!" And everyone's like, "What the fuck is this?"
I'll tweet my Triple H picture. Everyone will be like, "What the fuck is going on?"
15 quote tweets in a minute.
And then Alexa Bliss is Trish Stratum's like older little sister.
Older little sister?
Yeah.
Is he smaller? Is that how it works?
Yeah.
He's my little brother. Is he younger than you? No, he's just small. Sure, man. It works. I gotta be honest, I'm really fired up for the possibilities of the Women's War Games. I think the Bloodline one could be great. I hope it's great, but the one that actually has my attention is like, I remember liking the first NXT Women's War Games was so fun. Do you remember that? That like great lineup they had? And I think part of that is because, and I mean this like lovingly, because I just think I think that lineup is probably going to be less suited to doing crazy shit. And I think that's a good thing. Io will do something crazy, I'm sure. You know, like she did before. I remember she did like a something off the top, one of those. Maybe both of those, yeah.
With the trash can.
A lot of the talent pool in that match is not going to be well suited to doing like ridiculous stuff. And I think that's a benefit to the match because it means they have to really just recapture the vibe they got with those brawls a few weeks ago. And it needs to be wild, you know, it needs to be aggressive. And I think that's something the women really do a good job of by comparison to the men who I think often, to me anyway, can get lost in their kind of athletic, range and such. I think it's something just going there and punching each other. I think that's what that war game should strive for, honestly. So I'm excited for that, definitely. It's a cool deal, man. Look, it's got us talking about Survivor Series. That's the real story here, isn't it? We're talking about Survivor Series. Who give a shit about Survivor Series yesterday? I mean, it's just that's the real key to this, and that's the important thing, I think.
Well, hopefully, I remember being fired up for the Clash at the Castle match. No? I'm gonna try not
4-star match. Did you make the 4-star match they had? Yeah.
I read the Observer, bro. 4 stars. I remember being excited about Johnny Gargano and then Chad Gable too, and you know.
Well, I mean that got like an 8 on Cage match, bro. You know what I mean?
I'll throw this one to you, John.
Yeah. Favorite War Games match? Wrestle War 92 is the best War Games match. Dangerous Alliance against the top baby faces in WCW. That match is incredible. If anyone hasn't seen it, I strongly recommend it to know. Because a lot of the time we sound like old heads and we talk about like, what War Games should or shouldn't be, right? Make it what you want it to be. It's, wrestling changes. When I think War Games, I think of that kind of match where it's blood and it's guts, it's emotion and drama. I didn't mean to do the blood and guts thing, I promise. It's emotion, it's drama, it's heated. The energy in the crowd is what's really the core of the match more than like the moves, which again, I'm not trying to do the old man shit of like moves don't matter, bro. Like they actually do matter a lot, especially now. But for me, that's what War Games is. So Wrestle War 92 for sure. That's my pick.
And mine is 2022 Blood and Guts from Detroit.
Really? Yeah. It's a good one. I liked it.
Or 2019 GCW.
Well, watch yourself, Manny, all right? I think AEW's done a good job with Blood and Guts. I thought this year's one was like a really good piece of TV, and since they like had an hour. And I thought I give it I remember I did a review for it on Purist, and I give it very positive because I thought it was a very smart match. It still wasn't quite what I think of with War Games because it was like 50 minutes long. You know,
I still pop at Angelo Parker being like crucified upside down. She's like, I'm bleeding. Like
the sweet spot's probably like 35, 40.
Honestly, bro, it's like because here's the thing. This is what I think it's where everyone's. I think shorter because here's why. This is just my reading. This is me. If you might want it longer, it depends, But to me, the thing that's changed is. Back in the day, the Match Beyond wasn't just like its own match. It was called the Match Beyond, but honestly, that was just the finish. Because the point was so much damage had been done while guys were coming in that, like, by the time everyone's in, bro, it's just got to end. It's a race to finish. Nowadays, it really is a Match Beyond. It goes half an hour now when they all get in there. And look, I don't think that's a bad thing. I'm just, for me, I think it's excessive. Now, someone would probably watch the War Games match I just listed and be like, that fucking sucked. Fair, it is what it is. You have to react to the audience you have, and I do think with the audience they have now, they probably are better to have the more excessive, extended versions of the match. Even if for me, it's a little bit much. I think it probably works. So, but I will say the real headline in all this. We're talking about War Games and the kind of, the detail of the match and what it can and can't be, and so on and so forth. But the real story here is Triple H doing this because we were talking about it a little before we went on the air, but it's like he's going to live and die by his preferences and philosophy and so on and so forth, right? Like I thought he would do a lot of things that are like the cliche, this is what Triple H would do. This is NXT's better brother if Triple H had the main roster, but he hasn't waited on that stuff. And I'm not sure I'm going to love all of it. I know that Manny doesn't like any of it, but I'm just playing. But
like what?
Like he's, the Triple H stuff. You're not a big Booker of the Year, Paul Levesque guy.
Oh, no. The night 2 WarGames is Dangerous Alliance and the Sneaker Squadron, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, cool. It's going to be my homework for later. I was looking up the match before I forget.
If you don't like it, don't tell me. But I think the real story is that like Triple H is he's gonna go for him. I mean, he's doing all of the shit that people would have like guessed in a sort of fantasy article about it, right? If Triple H got power, he would do WarGames and do this and that. It's like he's doing it, whether you like it or not. It's obviously depending. Your mileage may vary, but
Vince was doing so much garbage and was so like,
yeah.
I know it's a cliche, but stuck in his ways, of doing things. That one of the criticisms of Triple Paul has been that, like, he's done obvious shit,
Yeah.
But it's like, that's kind of all he needs in a minute.
Vince
was fucking that place up, bro. Like, obviously everyone was saying it for years. But it's brutal. What was you gonna say, man?
What is that? Roderick Strong released? Quit. Hey, don't tease us with me, all right? Don't tease me with that, all right?
I feel like if that was out there, I feel like we'd have all been alerted directly, privately. Yes, you can't play with stuff like that with me, man. That's dangerous for the heart rate. You know what I mean?
No, I just I forgot I was gonna ask Monty. My heart felt like my stomach. I was like, oh.
Could have got the American Dragon versus Roderick Strong.
I know. I just saw all of Roddy's fantasy book his matches real quick, flash my eyes. Yeah. Just add Roderick Strong to the Arthur Ashe trip, making it for a triple threat for the world title.
Yeah, sure that would have got a good reaction.
Unfortunately, he's stuck in NXT, so
he'll be
pumping my fist.
He'll be okay. But he is genuinely. I don't know where you were going to go, man. If he comes back to you, tell me. But I think whether you like it or dislike it, and I will certainly have my moments on both sides of that fence, I do respect the way Triple H approached this role, which is that he obviously thought what they did in NXT was right because he's going to fucking try and replicate almost all of it on the main roster. And it's been pretty interesting to watch. Monty, where do you stand on the whole thing after, what are we at now, 2 months of this regime?
He's got a chip on his shoulder, hasn't he?
Definitely.
They cut his balls off in NXT, and now he's fucking sticking it to him.
It's a lot of spite to the decisions. I feel. I knew he was going to go for it when Cross got involved in that main event angle. I was like, oh my god, he's really going to go full 2K universe mode with this. It's very scary.
Can you argue that he hasn't really gone for it? I don't know. I've seen some of the shows, and I'm just like. I feel like he would have. Went batshit crazy, to grab people's attention, to hold the audience because the audience is kind of dropped.
I think he's never going to be a guy who. So here's the thing: NXT on the USA Network, especially initially in that war, definitely did some hot shotting, and there was a lot of you could tell. I think he was kind of rattled by the way that thing went. I know you said now that no one cared, but come on, we all know the deal. It's fine. I think he's gone for it in terms of the moves he's made more than the TV he's booked. The TV he's booked has just been a genuine attempt at doing good wrestling television, which hasn't been happening there for a while. To me, I don't know what you said on this, Monty. I say he's gone for it because he's made moves that are clearly a shift from what was happening before. It's we've kind of drawn a line in the sand as if to say it's different now in terms of how we're going to approach the talent and what we're going to do. Is that where you stand, Monty? What do you think?
Yeah, pretty much. It's just he's making it clear it's not the same, he's not doing anything over the top crazy. Well, he is doing Logan Paul versus Roman Reigns, but
Yeah, fair.
But for the most part, it's just like you said. It actually feels like a genuine attempt at putting on coherent wrestling show.
I think so.
He's brought back some safe options. He's brought back some questionable ones, but
Yeah, I will say, and Willie brings it up, and this is relevant in all this. Is I do think there is a perception among some fans, and if this is your perception, it's fine because you just like the shows more than I did. But there are some folks that I think felt NXT was great all along, and then he had it taken away from him, and he had to go home, and so on and so forth. I have to say, I don't see it that way. I thought NXT on the USA Network kind of exposed some of his frailties as a booker in terms of he's not. I wouldn't say he's the most creative booker. And honestly, he's not alone in that regard. That's basically where we're at now,
Yeah,
I think his strength is matchmaking. I think he can be good with details. He's obviously a guy who loves the presentation element of wrestling. He always tries to give his guys the big booming entrances and stuff. He always tried to do NXT to mix results. And you might like it or not like it, but he did it. I do have concerns about his angle playbook being stretched thin across 5 hours of big time TV. Because if I'm a bit to me, Golden Era NXT was 1 hour of TV a week and it was taped in blocks. And, you would tape over a month as much as they do it now in a day. That concerns me. When I watch the shows, I haven't watched them super closely, so I could be wrong. But when I've watched them, it feels somewhat dry, which is a concern I have long term. We'll see.
Yeah, that's where he's hopefully got to try to find the balance between kind of what Tony Khan does at AEW with kind of, it kind of feels like the wrestlers, if they've got an idea, it doesn't have to go through too many walls to get on TV, and obviously he don't want to fall into the thing where his own ideas just get tired and stretched out, and it's about finding the balance because there is creative people in WWE who I'm sure can pitch a good angle every now and again, but you don't want to get to the point where it seems like they're running wild with it.
I think so. I mean, this is always a difficult topic because I know I sound like it's like a meme, right? Where everyone jokes around about you can't have too much wrestling on a wrestling show. But it's I definitely think there's a version of wrestling TV where you're doing matches for the sake of matches.
Yeah.
And stuff's going 20 minutes that does not need to go. I think a good wrestling TV show has a mix, and
good squash in there.
Yeah. I think it's
like Rampage.
You said that so softly.
What did I say? What's happened? Rampage has a mix, yes, man. Rampage is the TV show based on the model, and I agree. I don't know. I think it could be. I think good wrestling TV could be a mix. I don't think you're an absolute insane person to be like, actually, I don't need 2.5 hours of wrestling on this program. I could do with a little bit more range. That's all, So it'll be interesting how he kind of figures that out. I mean, a good example of it is we were just talking about the damage control business. I mean, it would be nice if someone had a new angle for those women to run, right? I mean, when I looked at Raw last week and I saw that Alexa and Ash just did another run, and I was like, kids, did you watch the show from last week? I mean, they've done this every week now. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But that's the challenge of doing this, man. With NXT in the golden era, guys could be on 1 week, every 2, 1 week, a month, whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. When you're doing 3 hours, for the most part, you're going to need your main players to be on every week. Coming up with fresh ideas for them is challenging for anyone. It's not a criticism of Triple H necessarily. It's a hurdle they're going to have to overcome. And as you said, maybe that's leaning on certain people that have that kind of creativity within the team they have, because they have a big team, obviously.
Yeah, huge. Those 3-hour Raws, man, it must be so tempting as well for Triple H to kind of just pad it out with an extra 5 minutes on every match, which has definitely been the case some of the weeks.
We've both seen that happen, right? It's happened.
Like I said, it's 3 hours, man. It's brutal, but pays the bills. So
absolutely it does. Absolutely it does. I do actually genuinely, and I know we probably shouldn't because it's their choice, but I do cut them some slack on the 3-hour thing because I do think that is that's very hard,
It's a pay-per-view.
It's very difficult. Yeah, it's very difficult every week.
It's crazy.
And I know, again, it's their choice, but even still, for a booking perspective, it must be a nightmare,
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting, man. I think, there was a match with AJ and Lashley that was It's really good. You liked it less than I did, Monty. But like, it absolutely had a finishing stretch. I was like, lads, we could probably take this home. You know what I mean? Like, they only 23 minutes. Like, they'll be okay at 18. It'll be fine. But I think that's one of the tests. And in fairness, Triple H, he's getting his roster together now. So let's see how it gets through in the end. He also needs to kind of like retrain the audience to get into the matches too, which is going to be a process. So
yeah,
many
it seems like
moving
they don't have
pieces.
they're not like locked into the longer matches. You know, when it's just not to put anyone under or anything, but like when it's just a couple of mid card guys having a well wrestled match. The WWE universe isn't. They don't appreciate it the way that some other places might. So,
Craig, you're wrong. Raw does have an edge. He's on Raw like almost every week. So don't be spreading lies.
Wow.
Good
Lord.
What have you done to Manny, Joe?
Well, caught in the ropes, you know what I mean? Run a few high spots with him.
Okay, he goes to the new territory, gets some good reps in, comes back and he's kicking the shit out of our loyal audience.
I just
Craig, yeah.
check where he was at, you know what I mean? Tested the mat game, you know what I mean? See how his transitions were. A little bit chain wrestling. He's fucking good hand. He can work.
Get him out of here.
Tremendous stuff. That's good shit. I saw in the title of this one that we had WarGames. I think we've covered, in terms we've just done a sort of a long form at Triple H's process, which I know Manny enjoyed every minute of. The other thing in the title was Malachi Black, right? Was the topic. So I don't know if you've got the statement in front of you, Monty, do you? Or are you going to? Are we just going to talk about it in general?
I mean, we can talk about it in general because
most people have seen it, right?
Most people, I was going to say, most people have seen it and know what the tone of it is, So.
Yeah, it has been quite controversial. Manny, you're ready to go on this one. Interesting situation. Go ahead.
Well, first, shout out Charlie, thank you. And this whole Malachi thing is just kind of crazy.
You can't just shout people when they say nice things about you. You know what I mean? Because Charlie's a member of the team, so I get it. That's fine. But if we all did that, it would be the Wild West, Manny. I'm just fucking around.
So the Malachi thing is, it is what it is. We won't see him probably this year, and the House of Black is going to be great with just Brody and the Australian if he's around. And
you don't even gonna say his name anymore out of fear.
Yes, because
the Australian is crazy. That's wild, man.
I burned my I can't say that because.
No, absolutely do not say that. Do not talk about burning flags, please.
No,
this is not the late night grid. Yeah. Good call. Carry on, man.
These aren't just CM Punk shirts, So I hope he gets the help that he needs, and the grass is greener on the other side for him. That's about it. Or I guess darker, because he's like a dark guy.
He's a spooky guy. Yeah, good call. Monty, you got anything on this?
Yeah, man. I hope he just finds whatever it is he's looking for, and he's a tremendous wrestler. But first and foremost, let's hope he's okay.
I'm sorry, I just saw Jordan's call. I was not laughing at what you were saying. I was just in awe of Jordan's arrival in the chat being that. Yeah, I mean, I think that's about where the commentary he probably starts and ends with this one, right? I don't think any of us want to kind of deep dive into it. I know there's a lot of stuff that's kind of out there, not out there. It's been kind of weird. He kind of responded to it in a way that was, I get, but it was also, I don't think it helped necessarily in that particular case and some of the things you referenced. But
yeah, it's just one of those things where it's if he shows up, if he doesn't show up in a wrestling ring again, good luck to him. If he shows up in WWE, great. If he shows up in AEW, great. It's just
Look,
shows
this
up at Prestige, great.
Yeah, whatever he wants to do, you know.
Before we
Ring
get
of Honor.
it's worth talking about this because look, here's the deal. Obviously, we all want the dude to be happy and want him to be good. He mentioned some stuff we went through, and like nothing but love for him as a human being. But I saw that, and there's been a lot of reference to this. And Meltzer Strap just came out and said it and said he wants to go back to he wanted to go back to WWE, right? Now I don't want to sit here and talk about the right and wrong of that because honestly I don't care. Good luck to the guy, let him do what he wants. But I will say, and I say this with as little judgment as possible of Malachi Black, I am fascinated by some of the contracts these fellas sign, And I'm not to knock talent for this because God, I'm very much a guy who, if a guy wants to leave, I think they should be allowed to leave.
Yeah.
It is bonkers that he was signed till like 2027. It's like, fuck, things can change, man. You have to sign 6-year contracts. Like, I think it's a really strange thing we see.
It's tough for guys like Malachi though, because he was on the main roster and it was like, I'm assuming, especially at the time he got released, but it seemed like he was about to get pushed.
Yeah.
You just when billionaire Tony comes along, offers you a contract for fucking 6 years,
sure.
It's kind of, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
But
especially with him,
we've been joined by
my God,
a fan.
I mean, it kind of made sense for Malachi because his back, he had those back issues, and he was going to wrestle again. So
I get it. And look, the chat's right. Everyone, no one knew Vince was going to be out, but I still think 6-7 year deals are kind of crazy. That's pretty nuts. Like, look.
Oh, not this again. It's already started. He hasn't even said a word.
Forever.
Hello, everybody.
Good evening.
I see all the love in the chat right now. I see everybody showering me with the necessary. Yeah, absolutely, it's a lot of love. Joe Hulbert, it's good to see you back, my friend.
Good to be back, pal. Very good to be back. We've been giving Manny's had a great time. We just talk about WWE the whole time.
Yeah, right. I seems like I missed some good stuff. It's good to have you back. There's been a massive void on the platform as a whole without you. You are one of the 2 to 3 sane people on WrestlePurist, and so without that, it gets a little off the rails. So it's good. It's good to have a normal human being back on here. You know what I mean? Manny has become kind of a maniac in your absence, and I think he's too far gone at this point.
I think I'm to blame for that, unfortunately. I think it's partly my do. I mean, he's been very active on the Late Night Grim platform, and I think I've encouraged some of his worst instincts.
It's kind of
it doesn't help that we record at 11 o'clock at night.
Well,
I don't.
It's a lovely game, bro.
It's like a late night show.
I have no clue how to describe his sense of humor. It's like incomprehensible and impossible to imitate without being Manny.
It's hot.
Exactly. It is. But yeah, had to do a run-in. Had to crash this party, because it's a Monday and I'm free and I have nothing to do. So, absolutely. What have you guys touched on so far?
Well, we talked WarGames. We were currently talking Malachi Black, which I'm going to assume you'd rather leave for this on this particular occasion.
No, I don't mind leaving. I don't care.
Well, yeah, that's the stuff we talk about for most. But we kind of got into more broad strokes about Triple H's kind of his booking and so on and so forth. But do you have anything on WarGames? Because we talked about pretty good detail. Go ahead.
Before I touch on that, what do you guys make of that announcement?
I think optimism, excitement, but I very quickly, I have some concern about the way it's Yeah, I think there's some memories I have of some of those.
I can imagine going through that process.
Is it just the layout of the takeover WarGames matches or something?
Which I definitely like. The 10 minutes after it was announced, and I saw that WCW graphic the Ringer did.
Yeah,
I definitely forgot what that match is going to look, because the NXT WarGames are cool. They're just not like the
real thing. Yeah. You know what's funny about it, Joe? So the way I look at it, I think that the NXT WarGames matches are like extremely entertaining indie style spot fest plunder matches, right? And I think as matches, like they're like really, really high level, the ones at the takeovers. And at the same time, they're like that without actually really being what they're supposed to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they are absolutely not what the like War Games matches were spiritually. Like if you go back to the original ones, and it makes for a fascinating discussion when you look at it because I think the closest modern War Games match to like what it's supposed to be is the Blood and Guts match with Inner Circle and Pinnacle last year. I thought that match was like perfect 80% of the way through. And when the formula was extremely simple and just heels had the advantage, and then the baby faces even the odds, and they have the advantage when the odds are even. Because like when you book it that way, where it's like when it's 2v2, the baby faces are winning. When it's 3v2, the heels are winning. When it's 3v3, the baby faces are winning. Very simple formula, but it's very easy to pull off. And I thought that one was like awesome until like the closing stretches, right?
Yeah.
And in this weird way, like if I had to give that a rating, like I'd probably go at 4.25 on that. And some of the NXT ones, maybe I'd go like higher as matches, and yet I don't think those are actually War Games matches. So it's just a funny dynamic how that works.
I think so. I think we kind of got into this a little bit, but I think the really interesting part of the argument is I think there's real evidence that for a WWE crowd especially, but honestly, you could argue a modern crowd in general, the NXT War Games might actually be the correct way to go for the people that are in the stands.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
It worked for those guys, and my concern would be with a WWE crowd that they don't have heat. You know, even loud crowds that they do the chants and they do the the callbacks and they don't like live and die with every up and down in a match the way that an old school crowd would for War Games.
For sure.
And that's what would concern me. As much as I would love to see like an old school throwback War Games and the Usos are in there bleeding and Roman's, I don't know if the crowd would like it.
It's just funny to think about, Joe. Like in my head, a perfect world is like, and he probably won't be healthy in time, but just imagine like the babyface team needs one last guy to lead the team. They need one guy just return and help them at Survivor Series, and then thank you, and then Mr. Cody Rhodes emerges from the smoke and saves them, and he's the last entrant, and the Usos are beating up on whoever it is, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. There's blood. Cody's in there firing up and going crazy and running wild. Like that's art to me, right? But yeah, that's the thing about it. I think for these modern crowds, like what they want for the in-between spots are like, the quirkiness and, maybe certain signature moves or certain quirky interactions with certain wrestlers and things like that. Kind of like how they book Royal Rumbles, so to speak. And, you know what I mean? And the other thing is, it's another similarity to this, guys. I think when it comes to modern stipulation matches in WWE, there's like, I'd be lying if I said there weren't good PG Hell in the Cell matches. And like there's Hell in a Cell matches in the PG era that are good matches, even very good to great matches. But like in my head, they're not Hell in a Cell.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like Hell in a Cell to me is like a sadistic, unforgiving structure where two people torture each other and they're bleeding and they're in agony and like they're literally their lives are changed when they walk out. You know what I mean? It's not just two guys in a really tall, really wide open cage, just going through tables and hitting each other with kendo sticks, and that's kind of what it's become. And so, that's kind of my broader opinion on like the War Games match and how it's handled. With that said though, that's kind of like the nerd side of my opinion, because on a when it comes to this specific announcement, my priority was just for WWE to do something different and interesting with Survivor Series. You know what I mean? Because the format was so just it was so dead. I despised it. I thought this Survivor Series has been a dead pay-per-view for a couple of years to me, and the brand versus brand format, like it just there's no differentiating identities between these brands. So why should they even be fighting?
It's only cool when you get like proper dream matches, like Bryan versus Brock.
Yeah.
You know? If you get something
you need
like
to
that,
commit to the split for that to exist, really.
Exactly. There's no Raw versus SmackDown rivalry. There's no wrestlers I associate with the iconography of a specific show. So there's no point. So generally, when it comes to War Games, I'm just glad that they're doing something interesting and different. And frankly, regardless of how they work this match, and it's gonna just be a PG match with a bunch of big bumps and weapons. So be it. The crowd is gonna be really into it. It's in Boston. It'll get over. So fair play to them on that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's again, as you said, you can kind of dig into it as the nerds we are. We can talk about what it could be and what it probably will be. But I do think at core, it's a positive story because it's got us talking about Survivor Series, and it's an interesting story because it's another one of those Triple H moves that is kind of indicative of a shift for WWE. So it's a cool deal, I think, even if the match itself may slightly frustrate nerds like you and I. So
they're gonna do the 4v4 face off where they stand like a comic book panel and and the crowd chant. It's like they wait for the "This is awesome" chant, and then the commentary is going insane about it, and Corey Graves is saying his Fed line, and they all fight at the same time, and and then the crowd chants "Fight Forever" and all that fun stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I just feel like we haven't had like a War Games where just we feel like they're in danger at any point. Besides them doing like a crazy spot where EO jumped off the trash can, you're like, "Oh, I hope she's alive." But besides that, I feel like we don't have that intensity anymore, like that.
Manny,
what would you say? What would you say is the best modern War Game spot
in general?
Yeah, just straight spot. So you've got the Ricochet double moonsault,
the Claudio swing,
whatever the fuck.
I don't know, man.
Can I be honest with you? Even though a lot of these modern War Games matches have been like really fun and entertaining, I don't really remember these spots after a while. Like I'm trying to remember right now any one of them that happened, and unfortunately, I only remember one off the top of my head, and it's Cora Jade doing a Swanton Bomb.
That's incredible. That being a real thing is amazing. I remember Roddy. Remember when Roddy had like Ciampa tied to the ropes and just did the running elbow thing for like 2 minutes in the middle of War Games? I remember that. Other than that, I have nothing.
Didn't Roddy turn on? Didn't he just join under Undisputed Era?
That wasn't at a War Games. That was at a. Was it? I think that was at like a random takeover. Yeah.
It was New Orleans when they did the him and Dunn were wrestling for the belts, and he turned on Dunn.
You know what's funny about what Manny said about Danger, Monty? Like, this is why I'm talking about these old Hell in a Cell matches. Like, Jim Ross used to do so much to just put over, like, he would literally call the structure satanic. Like, he just acted like it was like the name was fitting, man. He acted like he just, bro. This man, I was rewatching Taker versus Triple H at Mania 28. The Hell in a Cell.
You remember this, don't you?
Yeah, Dakota's heel turn was great. That's a good.
That was good. Yeah, that was the most interesting Dakota Kai ever was. That was great.
Hold on.
Then he turned into a burn too.
Yeah, bro, Monty. This man Jim Ross in his prime was unreal because this is a PG cell match, but like you wouldn't know it. And when Undertaker was catching chair shots, this man Jim Ross was like, noxious, hazardous chair shots in this vile structure. Like he was.
Well, honestly, when I listen to like old school prime Jim Ross, like it gets me really angry.
It bums me out, man. Because he does it now. Like even when he's good now, he does commentary like he's doing like a podcast commentary track. You know? Like he's just he'll talk about how good the guys are at wrestling, and he'll be like, this guy, like he'll talk about bumps and shit. And it's like, Jesus, man, it's just weird. I don't know.
He was another level, man.
He doesn't raise his voice anymore, but like the thing, see when guys used to get rammed into the cage walls, like he would, you know why it was perfect, guys? It's because Jim on commentary, right? He sounded like he was personally concerned for your well-being, and he was begging and pleading for the match to stop at every second. Like he was just like, "Oh my God, just stop the match!"
When Jim Ross gets to that point, it's just like it's so good, bro. Like when he's begging for it to end.
Yeah. He's telling you to think about your family and think about the choices. He's talking about, was it all worth it? God damn it, my God, was it all worth it? Like, it's just...
He was on Rampage. He had like an all-time like modern JR where, because like he's a big Joe fan and he just started like popping. Like there was one point, I don't think you guys got it because he's in the ad break. Monty might have heard it, but at one point he just goes, "I just love seeing him out there," like he was a dog in the park, you know. Jim was just popping huge.
When he was making his entrance and he was like, "I've been around since the '70s." He was like, every promoter I've ever met would love a Samoa Joe.
Yeah, that was awesome. He also audibly just like came himself when him and Wardlow faced off. He was just like, "Oh, My God.
Yeah, he did the same with when Claudio and Jericho were like doing their angle. He just started like yelling, like, "Yeah, let's get it."
He looked at him and said, "Oh man, there's real wrestlers in the ring now. Let's go." He says,
Jim Ross,
Oh, man.
you know, listen, current Jim Ross obviously doesn't work for a lot of people, but to me, it pops me because he's not a commentator anymore. He's an old man live reacting to AEW.
Jim Ross.
He's literally just live reacting to the show on commentary. So he'll just when stuff that he's into happens. So like, bro, the Matt Hardy Darby Allin match, right? He literally just says, like, he talks like a fan. He goes, Darby Allin's the one catching my eye here. He literally said that. He was like, Darby Allin's the one that's capturing my imagination in this match.
The one that we always mention on the grin is when Eddie missed like 4 weeks with that eye injury and he came out and Jim yelled, "Where have you been, Eddie?" Like, he was so bummed out he hadn't seen him, you know. Like,
yeah, exactly.
He's I still got crazy amount of love for Jim Ross. You know, he pops me just the voice of Jim Ross on my wrestling TV. It's just
Monty, can I drop some hanger? Oh no, go ahead, Manny.
I also popped that he likes Josh Woods.
That was hilarious.
That's such a JR guy. I was like,
the best one is Buddy.
If he was the booker,
when
like,
Buddy wrestles, like when Buddy was wrestling on Rampage and he started like fantasy booking his football career, he was like, if he played college football, he'd be a running back. So he just pop in.
It's this man Jim Ross struggles to remember names and things like that, but what he will always have on deck is just your BMI, your weight, your height. Like, he'll be like, he's about 6'2", 270. All right, man. He's something else. I have a couple Malachi tidbits before we go to the completely next topic. What did I want to say? So I obviously made a certain tweet implying that he would be at the Royal Rumble. This will not happen because his no compete is extremely long. It was expressed to me immediately by someone within the promotion that he got a super long no compete. Tony Khan is very much aware of where he wants to go, and so he refuses to allow that to happen. The bottom line with Tony right now is just and if you guys want to debate whether this is right or not, and I have my
he's not taking this shit anymore. Is that what?
Literally, yeah. He just he refuses to hand Paul Levesque talent. He's not going to do it without a fight. He's not just going to hand people over to him. And he's straight up like not granting releases right now. He's just not doing it. So yeah, that's the situation we're in right now. And he just, as he said in the scrum, I'm just not going to take this fucking shit. So
we would get into a little before you got here, but like,
yeah.
And again, I don't want to critique the guy's decision because it was very different. Vince was still there, but man, like, I feel like wrestlers, the situation right now, there's so many moving pieces, you know?
Yeah.
5-6 years deals, like, I don't know. I think guys should be careful what they sign with promotion.
Joe, wrestling is way too fluid to sign deals longer than 3 years, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Here's a good example. In 2019, WWE's salary structure changed. And a couple guys got notable big increases on their deals. It was on a period where they were like, hey, don't go to AEW. We'll give you $1 million. Right.
Yeah.
And we thought like that was the big thing. And some guys, a year later were deemed overpaid because of, what they were doing. And, part of the budget cuts was like, Braun Strowman makes too much money. He can't be making $1 million. This guy makes blah, blah, blah. And now fast forward, guys, Braun Strowman under his previous deal would not be one of the 8 most paid guys in the company. Like their salary structure increased even more since. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and AJ Styles all make around $3 million. So
I think a good example of how much it's changed is the Good Brothers, right?
Yeah.
Because the Good Brothers, from what I can gather, and I'm no scoops, especially on this screen, but it appears from what I know, they can kind of choose here what they're going to do next. And in 2020, they released because they were overpaid, and AEW was not interested in that particular time because there was a lot going on, obviously, beyond wrestling.
Yes.
And it's a good example of how, like, timing is everything. You need to be available to take advantage of that time, and you can't be tied up for 6 years because that doesn't do,
Joe, what's the best example of timing is everything? Mr. Johnny Gargano waited this entire year out up until the summer. He didn't make a decision. And, people were like, oh, he's going to be at the Cleveland Dynamite. Oh, he's going to be at this thing. And quite frankly, I was of the opinion that didn't have a perfect fit anywhere at the time that he was trying to make a decision, because he goes back to WWE in the springtime and he's getting a new name and a new gimmick. You know, he goes to AEW in the springtime and he's a 1 week pop and he gets thrown in the Best Friends or something, and he's doing multi-man tags or singles matches, you know, once every month. You know, he would have been just he would have been part of the conveyor belt of just surprise debuts, you know, and you know, not to shit on that system, but I think for him, he probably recognized like the way AEW structured and with the top guys at that, you know, in the promotion, I'm not main eventing a pay-per-view anytime soon.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So the whole wait it out and let the situation evolve thing benefited him 100%. Yeah, right. It benefited him because, you know, his biggest supporter creatively, his biggest the guy who's given him the biggest push of his entire career, you know, becomes head of creative in WWE, and so it's like a perfect scenario for him.
You know, on the other, another guy who waited not as long as Gargano, but on the other side is Claudio. Right, Claudio could have rushed. The timing he came in was perfect because they needed. Like, he could have came in at the end of a Ring of Honor show, which is cool. But the way he came in was way bigger. He came in and worked blood and guts, big surprise spot of Forbidden Door before that. Like, and it's an example, but you have to be available to take much. Now, look, obviously, again, I get that when Malachi signed that deal, he was probably thinking, I have no interest in working for Vince again.
Yeah.
But it's just, you know, and we can get into, as you said, we can get into like the handling of contracts and stuff in wrestling. My genuine read on it is you have so many guys, like there's no need to lock people down and put them on no competes. That's just my read on it, you know, but I understand.
You know what's fascinating to me, Joe? Like, we look at last year and it very much appeared like Vince planted his foot down on what he wants and what he doesn't want, what he likes, what he doesn't like, right? They essentially expelled NXT and independent style wrestling from their promotion. They made it very publicly clear this is the type of people we're recruiting, right? And so it was very much, the lay of the land was very clear depending on what type of performer you are. You know, it's like if you are this type of wrestler, you can't even remotely even look in that direction because they won't want you and they're going to change who you are. And so it's like there was a year stretch roughly where it was just like the divide the divide couldn't be made any clearer. You know what I mean? It literally, like, this is a promotion. This is the wrestling promotion. This is the sports entertainment promotion. You know, if you're at a certain level, this is where you go. Otherwise, you grind it out in the indies. You're not going to be in WWE unless you're a football player who, you know, whatever, right? And so, to me, I was thinking this is just the new normal. Like, I genuinely thought like that's what the new normal was going to be. They made it clear. They changed NXT. They did all this stuff. And so for it to all get flipped in a second just because of the Vince scandal and the Hunter thing is mind-blowing. Because what's going to happen now this next calendar year is Paul Levesque is literally going to pick up where he left off, you know, when it comes to just embracing the wider wrestling world and going international and all that type of stuff. So it's crazy.
Europe.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, man, it's crazy.
Yeah.
That particular part of the model has never made sense to me. It never will make sense. I don't understand.
The Europe thing. Monty, you know what I've been watching this week? I've been actually rewatching parts of the Cruiserweight Classic, and it's genuinely awesome. But
great.
Yeah, but the most surreal thing to me is just because I never gone back to rewatch any of that like NXT stuff. Like I experienced it in a moment and never went back to it. And watching it now is just weirdly surreal. Like it's like, wow, Paul Levesque literally just created his like weird little
those takeover crowds, bro.
Well, yeah, but my point is, this dude literally did this under Vince's nose, and it's nothing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like those takeover shows, bro. It was like those. You know, I don't even know how you'd expect. It was just like indie wrestling on crack. You know, it was just.
Bro, I'm watching this and like Moro's talking about Dragon Gate USA and Dragon Gate and New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he's naming he literally name dropped Wrestle Kingdom 9, and he said he used the name Prince Devitt, and Bryan Danielson casually just said that, you know, I don't care what they say about Brock Lesnar, but Akira Tozawa has a better German suplex, and you know he said it because Vince isn't watching this, and it's just like funny to me. Like I'm like.
That presentation was awesome. That's like everyone always uses the phrase right, sports style presentation. Everyone throws it around, but they actually kind of nailed it with those like sit down interviews they did before the pre-tape. You know? It was really cool. Really cool. And the aesthetic was great too. Like they made Full Sail look different enough. and they had the canvas, had the like the logo in the corners.
Yeah, that was slick.
Yeah.
It was slick.
trophy.
One of my other takeaways from watching it, and I tweeted about it, was Mascara Dorada. Grand Malik is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
He is just the man, and he was at the last set of Dark Elevation tapings.
Mm-hmm.
And
Manny got very excited about that. I was on the air with Manny when he found this out. He got very excited.
I almost started crying.
He's awesome, man. And you know, I made the
public. You put a hole in the wall.
I made the public pitch to Tony Khan. Listen, Bryan Danielson's a big fan of this guy. You know, I don't think it'll hurt to do a match on Dynamite between the two guys. You know, and anybody who would complain about that matchup being announced would stop complaining when the match happens. So.
And then after that, you give him an All Elite sign.
Who's?
What? What's happening now?
I'm trying to think. No,
Monty's
having a Monty
no, because Hanger brought up that thing about how he's obviously suggested the Dorado versus Danielson match.
Yes.
And it just got me thinking about like how people suggest things to Tony Khan. And I'm sure I remember reading something. I just can't remember where it's like, Dave uses the newsletter to like, you know, send signals to Tony Khan about certain things and shit like that. But I can't remember who said it. Well, I remember just reading it.
What do you mean? Like he suggests
so like so if Dave's like worried about something that they do. Like,
can't I just text him?
Yeah, that's why I was like, that's why I was popping out, but I can't remember where I read it now. It was something, it was something to that effect. Like Dave apparently uses the newsletter to send Tony Khan messages if he's a bit worried about something in the booking or what.
He worries a lot these days. You know, I mean, I understand it, but he does worry a lot. He seems very concerned all the time, which is alarming for me.
Wait, who?
Dave. Whenever I read a Dave quote, part of this is Monty's fault because he always sounds like terrified at what's going on. You know, like too much blood, and I don't even disagree with him on some of the stuff, a lot of the stuff, honestly. But when I hear the clips, his tone alarms me. I hope he's not sweating too much about this.
One of the cons that Dave legitimately brings up that I'll always agree with, for the time being anyway, is that like AEW do the gimmick matches way too much. Yeah. That's one of the criticisms I definitely hear him out on. But like pretty much everything else, it's just like I'm sure they're fine.
the best thing about Dave, I'm never gonna forget, is just him complaining about blood, and then Alvarez asked, "Who'd you talk to?" And he says, "Well, my friend's wife, and then my ex-girlfriend." And I'm just like, how do you...
Manny's referencing when he talks about, like, you know, blood turning off the female audience in AEW. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing.
And then Alvarez is like saying, but you said that you talked to so many people. You just talked to 2. How do you know the?
Remember when he said that he was at a dinner party and they were talking about New Japan?
Yeah.
One of the all-time great quotes.
Guys, no, you know what's one of my favorite is when he'll get 1 to 2 emails about a match, and he'll be like, people are raving about this thing. Like he always does. It's like always Murph just sending him an email and, you know, calling an Adam Cole match 4.5 stars, and he'll be like, yeah, people are raving about, you know, Cole and Ishii. People thought it was amazing. Yeah.
That was the match. Cole and Ishii. Manny and I talk about that Cole and Ishii match where like they went like 10 minutes and just did an Adam Cole match. We're like, what? That was it.
Yeah, it's
Murph kept saying like there was more time added to the match. There was more time, and then after the match happened, he said actually there wasn't any time. Like that was the full match, and I was just like, you sold me on this match being a long epic, and you're like, no, it's the same length.
It was. I wish I could I wish I filmed myself watching that, you know, because I sat down.
God bless, young Murph, you know.
Yeah. He was enjoying himself when he ultimately fair play.
He was there. You know?
When I heard tremendous Ishii Cole match, and I sat down and I was like, all right, let's check this thing out, and it was just kind of a match. I was like, man, it's crazy.
My jaw dropped on how mid the match was. I said, "Oh my god, you can't be it." I was like, my jaw. I said, "Oh my god, man, I can't believe I'm watching 2 good wrestlers just having an average match."
They genuinely had a 3-star match, and
I think it's funnier that it was just a match rather than it being like bad, awful or anything.
Oh, it just happened.
I have. Cole wrestles his, like, he just plugs guys into his formula a lot of the time, you know, like especially on TV. I think that was what happened there, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. I have some news for you guys.
No.
Jonathan Gresham is back.
Yeah.
he will be wrestling. He'll be returning to Game Changer Wrestling, GCW. I believe the date is October 8th. So we have a date for the return of my personal favorite technical wrestler, not named Bryan Danielson. So that's good to hear.
I'm a fan. I'm rooting for Gresh. I remember vividly when after everything went down, he worked that Ric Flair show, and he had that like 90-second fucking explosion in that tiny little match they had.
In that
so great.
Yeah, it was the 4-way, and he was so beast in it. Yeah,
he's definitely got a role to play. I mean, I remember watching those Impact TVs that he like did spots on, and he just felt like a cut above in terms of the in-ring. Other than like guys like Shelley, who are undeniable, he felt like he was in his own league on that show. And I just think, more than anything, I'd like to see him get a chance to write his own story here, because I think 2 leaks about a meeting he had with the boss kind of killed that dude in terms of public perception. I think that's bullshit. I don't think that should happen. I mean, there was talk about people heard what he said through the walls and stuff. Like, okay, man, whatever you want to tell yourself. I don't know. Like, I feel like he should have been able to, come out of that with a little bit more dignity than he was given. But whatever.
Has Gresham being released? No.
Yeah, which is again part of the thing we were talking about earlier, I guess, right?
Yeah.
That's like, look, Malachi Black, you can convince me it's bullshit if that dude wants out and he can't get out. I'm sorry, that's ridiculous. There's no reason not to release him. It's ridiculous.
I agree with you. I think generally you should just release talents that they don't want to be there. Frankly, I just, to me, man, AEW has so many guys that are good that why force a malcontent who is unhappy being there and is thinking about other places? Why force him to be on your show when there's guys underneath him who are chomping at the bit to get a bigger role, who are happy to be in AEW, especially if they don't have a big impact on your bottom line?
Yeah, Malachi, if it's Moxley or fucking Danielson or something, it's like, well, hold on.
To me, Malachi Black is somebody that he could have been a massive deal in AEW, but for one reason or another, he wasn't at that level, and so the level he was at is he's a cool act. He was a cool act, really good worker. Whether he was or was not on the show wouldn't change anything about their ratings or attendance. And so if he is unhappy and wants to leave, let him leave. Why have a guy there who's just having dreams about Triple H at night when you could just have a guy underneath him who you could use to fortify your undercard who's 10 years younger? That's my thinking on the.
No, I agree. I was talking to Monty about this privately. I think that's clearly the way they should go. Like, you have a roster big enough that you can literally kite to the people that just want to actually be there. They want to be AEW guys. And honestly, some of what you should do is probably aggressively unhealthy, and it should probably be like borderline wrestling cult levels of we're going to fucking fight uphill against WWE, because those guys exist and we've heard them talk about it, and they're like, I'm never going there, Honestly, man, they're the guys that like you should probably lean towards, because right now it's going to be weird with the other folks, because Triple H is going to actively pursue them in a way, as Hangman just said, that wasn't the case a year ago. So it's I think they need to build a culture in that regard internally. I mean, I've done a lot of bits about this, but I genuinely believe that like they need to figure out who wants to actually be an AEW guy, because they have enough guys to pick and choose at this point. You do not need 120 people to do 2 hours of TV every week. I'm telling you, it's not necessary.
Lifers only,
We have to establish fleet culture,
bro. Honestly, when you've got a roster that big, you do not. It's not like a necessity thing. We have to have Malachi Black on the show. If he doesn't want to be on the show, then like move to the next guy. There's enough guys that want to be there.
It's just immoral, man. Like, look again. I know some people, their argument is okay, but then you don't want to establish this precedent where anybody can just get a call from Paul Levesque and jump ship. But my response to that would be, and this isn't done in one day, but just foster a work environment where no one will want to leave. How many release requests were made in the first 2 years of AEW when things were allegedly harmonious and humming, and people are getting over and having these great matches and all that stuff? You weren't getting all these release requests and stuff like that. Not to say that everybody's trying to jump ship right now, but my point is, if you create an environment where everyone's just so happy and they're just working towards the primary goal of making AEW better, then you won't have the problem of just guys lining up to your office to just try to jump ship the second that WWE has interest. You think WWE just started being interested in certain AEW guys now? They've always wanted certain guys from the beginning. But all you kept hearing from AEW wrestlers in interviews is just, I'm where I want to be. I don't, I'm not thinking of leaving. I'm not thinking of going to WWE. Darby Allin in year one was in interviews talking about how WWE wanted him, but he was just like, I know that in this place I'm going to be better fulfilled creatively. I know over there I'm going to be seen a certain way, and so I'm happy where I'm at. And so now I think we have to continue to establish that type of culture and environment where it's just like, dude, man, this is the place to be, And so I think part of that is not succumbing to some of the unfortunate business tactics of their competitors like WWE, because they were supposed to be different. And and part of being different is not just trying to do the seedy stuff to, cover your ass or whatever, just because some guy doesn't want to be there. And that's just kind of where I stand with that.
I agree. And I also, and it's a boring topic because I know people get mad about it, but like the roster is ridiculously big. Like they're down 4 top guys right now, and they're trying to book an after-hours show, and they're 13 matches deep, and they're still guys. Like it's ridiculous. You don't need it to that. Look, they're all great talent. Most of them are great talent. It's like less is more sometimes. I know that's a cliche. We all roll our eyes out, but there's like truth to that, And
you don't get. We say this a lot, Joe. Sorry to cut you off, but you just you don't get 100% of anyone because
no, you can't.
You can't. Not to do the other places better or anything because, I should probably preface it. I do prefer AEW to WWE at the moment, but say for example, you take this Sami Zayn story. It's just all over the TV, multiple segments, every single SmackDown show. You don't get that with AEW,
Right.
For better and for worse, depending on what you're into. Like sometimes that makes for better, sometimes that's for worse. So like I said, you just never really get 100% of anyone unless it's CM Punk or
Look at Miro.
You know what I mean?
Look at Miro. Okay, Miro came back. I want to say it was I think it was the LA TV in June. I want to say it was right.
Yeah.
So we're now near the end of September. And it's like he is just like floating around. He's like a top talent for you in theory. Like when he comes back, you should have like an angle for him. And like they kind of did, sort of. But it's hard. And that's not
the angle. The angle was Julia Hart enters the Miroverse in a dark room. Do you guys remember that segment? Where,
I do. I'll never forget that segment.
That shit was. It's so funny because like Miro in some ways should be wrestle crap, but like he's so based that he's not, and it's like it's awesome. It's that funny middle ground where like it should be ridiculous, but his delivery and his just how he is makes it awesome.
Well,
go ahead, Manny.
I was talking to Joe about this yesterday, and like the thing with like people like Black and Miro is like you can't really book them like that on AEW TV because. They don't wrestle the kind of matches you would want them to have, and like they're more suited to WWE. I was
Miro?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like
I think what we were getting into was like there are some guys who part of their act is you have to protect them to a certain level, and I think there is increasing evidence that Tony kind of struggles with that like archetype. I think you've even seen that with Wardlow over the last like 2 months, where it's like he doesn't want to undercut them by having them go 50-50. But he's also kind of hesitant to have like a guy just win on TV consistently in like 6-minute matches, Like he doesn't.
He does really struggle with those, to be honest. Like Miro, Malakai.
He struggles with the
characters. Monty, may I play a quick game with you guys?
I'm for it.
Okay, so. I am going to ask you guys, what wrestlers do you think right now would benefit from a change of scenery to the other promotion and vice versa, if there are any?
Okay.
Between WWE and AEW.
All right. So
should I let you name the people, or should I just spitball wrestlers' names and you tell me if they're good with it or they should switch?
Throw a wrestler out there, and then we'll kind of kick it around the room and talk about it a little bit. Go ahead. Just do that.
Okay. I'm gonna try to go off the top of my head first. And so you just say stay or switch, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we're only doing switch if you think right now, as we speak right now, they probably benefit the other show a little bit better and whatever. Okay. Malachi Black.
Switch.
Miro.
Switch.
I'm not happy
Maxwell,
about that.
Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Stay.
Stay.
Really, Monty? You fucking drone. Oh my god. You fucking drone.
Hey, I just want to say one thing about MJ before we move on. Man, he used a different tone on the Ariel Hawani show.
Yo, his
really
interview
good
was
on
awesome.
That was really good.
Awesome. Everyone should check that out.
I saw the clips from him and I said he got that bag and he's just like
it's just
okay. And we'll get to WB guys on this list next, but okay, Jungle Boy,
Stay.
Sammy Guevara.
Hey,
I don't watch as much WWE, so switch that dude, please. I was watching Rampage live on the air, and when Eddie Kingston said Sammy Guevara, I was like, "Oh fuck, man, this is still going on." My God.
John Moxley.
Stay.
a statue outside Jacksonville.
He's the only guy.
I'm with Manny.
You can't let him leave. You can't let him leave. You know.
I gotta be honest with you guys. I only named that name to test how much of a crackhead Monty was.
Yeah.
Fair. Okay. Wardlow.
Switch.
Yeah, he can switch.
Stay. This Joe thing's gonna be good. This Joe thing's gonna be good.
I have belief in that too. I was actually fired up by Wardlow's promo he cut. What was it this week or last week? Where he kind of just said like, "Yeah, my TNT run has been kind of boring, and let's step this shit up, basically." And I think he honestly believes that, and I do think he's gonna make a concerted effort to kind of really ramp it up. So let's see what happens there. Samoa Joe.
He can stay.
He'll stay for this Wardlow business, but I have to admit I'm concerned by how much.
When he's done in ring,
he's going to go
right?
That's
okay.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Darby Allin.
Stay.
Jade Cargill.
Switch.
Go. Switch.
I don't think it works right now, man. I think the way Tony books does not suit her strengths at all. It's really difficult for him to figure out what to do with Jade, unfortunately.
The Statlander injury fucked a lot of things up for her. And real quick, I just want to throw this out. I tweeted this. I think that, Monty, remember last week we were talking about who are the free agents that we could sign to kind of take down Jade Cargill, and we couldn't think of anybody. The conclusion I got hit with when I watched Rampage was it should be Willow Nightingale. Not today, not tomorrow. But listen, you can laugh it off all you want. To me, Monty, I think some people
are laughing. Don't accuse me of laughing.
I can't believe Monty said, "God bless you." That's what I was laughing at.
Listen, to me, I think some people have it, and it's really early, so a lot of people aren't going to see it. But I just think that there's something there that a lot of women who are pushed above her don't have. Yeah, frankly,
she gets over live. She's.
I'll just put it on Riho. Be honest.
Next,
you want to eat with sorry to like kind of halt the game, but it's just like with the TBS title. It's just like it's a TV championship. I kind of like it to be kind of a work rate based title after this Jay Cargill reign.
Right. Like some good
I'd like a strong worker to beat Cargill. Gotcha. Willow's on the way, but she's not someone who I'd trust to go out there and and that's because obviously, like, how many times has she even been on national TV, bro? Like, it's not even anything against her. Like I said, she's on her way, but I'd much rather it be a Rio, Shida, a Deeb, someone like that.
Okay, so I have the roster in front of me now, so we'll speed run through the relevant people here. Adam Cole,
stay.
Switch.
Andrade,
stay.
He's gonna have to switch, unfortunately.
Switch.
You know what's weird for some of these? I'm noticing my personal answer is like stay for a little bit and then switch.
Yeah, which seems concerning in some way. Stay close.
Brian Cage,
switch. Dude's at home.
Brody King,
stay.
Buddy Matthews,
switch.
But it shouldn't. It's switch, but it shouldn't.
He's not done. I love Buddy, bro.
It shouldn't be that.
If we got cruiserweight champ Buddy Matthews, if we got cruiserweight champ Buddy Matthews, he can stay. But if he's gonna be acting like a heel and doing some lore shit, he can kick the bricks.
Honestly, I think he's much more valuable being like a workhorse guy for WWE because
this one
Tony
feels
is not
like
used on TV. Like it is what it is.
Feels like one for backup hangman.
Okay.
Oh
shit.
Zootopia Productions $5 super chat. I think all can agree that Gresham versus Braun would be match of the year. Trolling aside, who would you all prefer as the next AEW champ, MJF challenger, Brian or Mox? I got to be honest with you. I'm a big MJF fan. I think he's so important to AEW's product. I think just because of the shittiness of the timing of the Punk fight, I think Max would have been the perfect guy to win the title at Arthur Ashe from CM Punk had that been the original plan. But because of the situation being what it is, I kind of want to hold off on him getting the belt a little bit, and I kind of want a prolonged Bryan Danielson championship reign before we get there. So that's kind of just my feeling on the whole situation.
So, hey man, I said yesterday that Danielson should hold the title to Seattle, and they do one big match in Seattle.
When Seattle?
I think it's the first show after the New Year.
Yeah, it's January. Yeah.
I could. You know what I just did right now? I looked at the corner bottom right of my laptop to see what date it was when he said the beginning of the year, and it said September.
Jesus.
And immediately in my mind,
sounding like
AEW realistically needs to drop 20% of the roster at least.
He's right.
To be honest with you, man.
Well, Kenny would say 80.
Honestly, look, Arthur Ashe is the perfect example. That's all like. Seriously, they're down Punk, the Bucks, and Kenny, and they're 13 matches deep, and FTR are not on the card. Other guys aren't on the card.
I honestly think a more streamlined, focused roster would not hurt them. You know, I think maybe I made the whole tweet about the Black and Golders. To me, maybe now is the time to just hyper focus when it comes to the undercard on the guys in their 20s that are like not completely there yet, but they're getting there. You know, maybe now is a chance to focus a little bit more on the pillars again, and Lee Moriarty. And Dante Martin and Daniel Garcia and some of these guys do they have the name value and are they ability wise on the level of a Malachi right now or an Andrade or a Keith Lee? No, they're not. But I think it's a safer bet that they're going to be with your promotion a bit longer. They don't have the emotional ties to a different promotion where Hunter can just swoop in and be like, you remember the day when me and you were in the Gorilla and and they get their feelings swayed. You know what I mean? So that's just kind of where I'm at with that. Christian Cage.
Stay.
Chris Jericho.
Stay.
Claudio Castagnoli.
Stay.
Yeah, I'm in
lifetime contract.
Lock him in.
Dax Harwood.
Stay.
Eddie Kingston.
Stay.
Dustin Rhodes.
Stay. Dustin on Raw in 2022 would be fucking amazing.
Give Dustin the NWA title.
Austin Theory.
Yeah, right. I'm looking at this list. I'm trying to find another interesting one.
I didn't have an answer for Dax because I didn't feel good about what I was going to say.
Yeah. Keith Lee.
Stay.
Kenny Omega, and by extension, the Elite.
Listen, I'll say a lot of things in here. I ain't saying anything but stay on that one. Good luck.
Free CM Punk.
Anyways, let's see if there's any other interesting ones before I go to the WWE roster.
Here's the thing.
AEW
I understand that
should be just as crowded.
I understand that skepticism, no, 100%.
They have more TV time.
They have more TV time, and the amount of people that released, it was like uncanny.
Well, I would argue that during their time where they had the WWE had their whole roster of all the indie guys, they still didn't make enough time for all of them to be on there anyway. So I mean,
well, that's because the shows were bad and poorly booked. To me, they have 2 more hours of TV on national television, not even counting NXT. And then going even beyond that, AEW's roster. Do you guys know that AEW has a bigger talent roster than the WWE main roster? Like they have they have notably like a number of more guys than WWE's, which is just unreal because they have 2 hours less of TV. So yeah, man, bro. When I watch these Monday Night Raws, like I definitely think like, yeah, you could cut some of these matches in half and just add another match, but there's no other guy on the fucking show.
Yeah, there's
so.
They cut like 150 wrestlers.
A lot of wrestlers.
You know, I think if they sign 10, 20 back, I don't think
Monty. To me,
I don't think it hurts them that much.
You know, we didn't get any really budget cuts this year from the main roster, and going into this. Yeah, well, so that's my thing. Going into the year, like I'm assuming we're still in the routine of every 2 months budget cuts, and I was starting to think like, you can't do that cycle again because who's going to be on TV? You know what I mean? Okay, the
How
last
many did they actually release?
It was
Literally-
genuinely.
It was
Over
100%. It was over
Yeah.
100. I know that
Yeah.
comfortably.
Okay. So my last one I'm going to say to you guys. Let me just verify, double check here. Yeah, the last one I'm going to say. Let's get back to the name real quick. Ricky Starks.
Oh,
The Brit.
Jesus. Sty. Fuck Twitter. Sty.
Ricky Starks is talented, man. I don't,
Yeah,
he's talented.
I love
Great.
Ricky.
I think Tony does actually like him as well. The all out match was weird, but
whole build was
You
weird,
think?
man. Whole
Yeah,
build was
there's
weird. It was about
there's
QT
a-
Marshall and shit. It was weird.
There was a match announced today that he fits perfectly in, and it's in the Fed WarGames. He can be over there.
Oh my god. Okay, so WWE roster. This will be interesting. AJ Styles.
Oh, he can come.
Honestly, switch. I think that'd be a blast. I think that'd be really cool. And I think it feels like Triple H has so many things to worry about that he's kind of just AJ just kind of leaves be. He's got a ton of ideas
he's
for.
he's just kind of in the background right now.
And now
Ready
that Punk,
for
assuming Punk is gone, it would make AJ's time in AEW a lot more seamless.
They're not
transition
they're not fans of each other. What do you think, Monty?
who are you talking AJ Styles?
Yes,
Yeah.
mate.
Yes.
Monty is currently counting. That's incredible. I've just
Oh, is
seen
that- is that
Monty
what's happening?
count names there. Look at him.
Oh,
Look at
man.
Monty's concentration. What a pro.
Is he counting the releases?
Yeah, he's actually counting.
I would-
Rather than just Googling how many, he's just counting them.
All right. Well, Monty's
I have
in the
googled how
trance.
many, but there isn't one from the
I would
the
just-
time frame I want it to be.
Okay.
I think Ricky Starks and AJ Styles is a fair trade up front.
AJ is like 45 now.
Akira
Yeah, that's
Tozawa.
Switch.
Yes.
Please.
Switch.
I don't know what he
Switch.
does.
Fucking
Does he work? Does he do like main event every week?
I
at home.
have a mild scoop here. He has a bad neck, and so that's why he doesn't wrestle as much as he used to.
That sucks.
Yeah, his neck is fucked, and he can't really bump as much as he would like to, and he refuses to get surgery on his neck because the surgery he would need would end his career. So
Fuck.
it's almost one of those there's a finite amount of time left for him type of thing, and so it's just like the minute he gets that surgery, he's done. So it's just kind of like, let me just like play it safe. With that said, give me Tozawa versus Bryan Danielson. So, listen, Kurt Angle in a documentary once said, he literally said the reason why my matches were so crazy in 06 was because I went into every match with the belief that this might be my last match. And so I literally, he said, like, I went in with that belief and I wrestled like I had a death wish. So
Wow.
And he
Yes.
wrestled until 2018.
So
Yes.
since 2019,
yeah.
166 wrestlers have left WWE
Would you look at that?
across WWE, NXT, NXT UK.
They can-
166 wrestlers.
They can afford to bring 20 back. You know what I mean? Okay, the next one, Angel Garza.
Oh, he can come.
Yeah, switch.
I think that's like he's
Yeah.
talented, but like that's like a nothing either way.
Yeah, I don't think he's a player either place, unfortunately.
Yeah. Especially AEW's in that spot now where it's like if you're getting someone, it has to be like a big time person. You know what I mean? Like the historically, which Fed has had the most balanced roster ever? What do you mean by balanced?
That's
I think
really hard. Yeah.
AEW to me, like you could make easily the argument that they have the best roster ever. Well, pre All Out 2021. 2022. But it depends what you mean by balanced. I think WCW in the late 90s had an incredible roster of wrestling talent and star power.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like they had guys like Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair and Sting and Goldberg at the top, who were like massive big draws. But when it comes to wrestling talent, the cruiserweights, you had, guys like that. So that
The issue
roster
with
was
that
pretty
is
1989 All Japan.
well, there you go. The
cool.
issue that
actually, he's 88 or 98.
89.
Okay.
That
Go ahead,
it's
Sean.
hard because the more that like the roster's stacked, the more that it kind of will become inherently unbalanced because that's kind of the give and take there, right?
Yeah.
So like the ones that come to mind are like they're not balanced, but that's kind of the point. They're so stacked. So it's hard. I don't know. That'd be an interesting one to kind of dig deeper on. So in fairness, Cody brings up some of those TNA rosters were fucking insane. In fairness, they ain't a bad team.
Yeah. Oh my God. Listen, the late 2000s, early 2010s TNA rosters were crazy. Bits aside, 07 TNA. Listen, man, they had Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe and Sting. You know what I mean? Like Jesus Christ.
Mhm.
Next, Asuka.
Stay.
Switch.
Yeah, she can go.
She can go.
Yeah,
She can go.
Brock.
Yeah, unless they do something really interesting, like Joe was saying earlier about a turning heel or something. He's like, what else
She's
is
kind of
she gonna do?
she's spinning
She's
her
done the
wheels a
tag
little bit.
title run. She's done
She
everything.
is. Here's the thing. She is spinning her wheels, and it would be interesting to see AEW build a division around her. But she is like kind of a legend almost on that side. And it's like I don't know, man. With the women on AEW, like the way they're
She's
used,
a Hall of Famer, 100%.
the way they're
Absolutely.
used on AEW TV is rough, man. You get like a pre-tape every couple of weeks, and then like one match. I don't know. It's difficult. I'd love to say switch because it'd be interesting, but it's hard for
I
me
would
to
just
say.
say she just does a Sheeta schedule where you just don't see her in a while. She's just in Japan having good matches, and then
Well, yeah,
I would like to see a Kenny. I would like to see an Asuka match laid out by Kenny Omega. I will say that.
sure, yeah.
Chad Gable.
switch. Switch.
I think that's more
I don't know,
complex.
he's actually kind of cooking under Triple H.
Because he's
isn't he?
he's their go-to like work rate guy. In AEW, there's a
Yeah.
bunch of work rate guys. You know,
Mhm.
I don't know. I think that's more complex. I'd say stay right now.
The benefit for Gable in AEW would just be him completely unleashed. You know what I mean? In a cardio type of way. But at the same time, he has found a bit of a I guess role or spot for himself. If that makes any sense. Okay. Let's try this one. Braun Breaker.
Stay.
Stay.
You know what's funny, Monty? If you asked me this question 5 months ago, I would genuinely tell you that I've quietly wanted him once he finished developmental to go to AEW because I was so convinced that he would just get fumbled and botched so badly on Monday Night Raw that like I didn't want to see it. And so I was actually genuinely in my head looking forward to in 2024 seeing him in the LA dojo, just like mixing it up with the New Japan Strong Young Lions and doing some stuff with AEW. Like I swear to God on everything. Like that was how I planned it in my brain. But you know,
I got a question: can Otis come with Chad Gable?
Would you like Otis to come with Chad Gable?
Yeah,
real hooper, right, Manny? Real hooper.
Yeah,
Manny and I want to see him in like an All Japan Tag League or some shit, you know.
I just want to see him doing King's Road suplexes.
Yeah,
I just want to see his match on Friday.
Braun Strowman.
I'm there, bro. I'm gonna watch along for that shit.
Monty, I'm gonna be Monty. Do you know how annoying I'm gonna be if that match is 3 stars?
Oh,
I
can't
remember what I said. I can't remember what I said in this chat. I said something like, "If this is 3 1/4, bro, like, I'm giving it 5.5 stars."
I'm looking at this roster.
I convinced myself Jericho and Hager versus Chad Gable and Otis is a good match. That's how I'm committed to this bit.
That would be a good match. That's the funny thing. Okay, Drew Gulak.
No, we need his to moderate the chat.
Switch.
Is in the chat?
Yeah. No, we need it to moderate.
Because if
we got the porn bots back.
If Gulak came over, Brian would immediately wrestle him on TV and make him look great again, and it would be fucking awesome. So definitely switch.
Their elimination chamber match was sensational, and Danielson's like he's on like a crazy just run right now. Like it would be so violent. So I'd love to see that. Yeah. Drew McIntyre.
Oh, he switch.
Stay. Yeah, I'm gonna say stay on that.
Manny said switch.
Manny's approaching this game. So the
Drew got away.
The original rules were supposed to be what's a more beneficial place for them, but Manny's turned it into I want to see him in AEW. I want to see this guy wrestle like people in AEW. You know what I mean? Okay. Let's see here. I saw Dominic's name, and I don't want to be mean, so I'm going to skip to the next person.
Okay, cool.
Finn Balor.
He can stand.
Switch. Yeah, I think he could be really interesting, especially with
the
boys element of it. I think that'd be a good one.
I saw the Imperium boys, and if Paul Levesque didn't get control of WWE, I would have dramatically suggested that they switch companies within the next year.
That Imperial bomb they hit with Kofi on Friday was fucking brutal, bro.
He spiked Kofi. I thought they broke his neck. Think of another. Let me see another interesting.
We can't go through the whole roster.
No. I'm trying to find
Raw start.
No. Oh yeah. I'm trying to find any other interesting names. Kevin Owens, no. I'm trying to find a good one here.
It's interesting how much this game's changed, right? In the last few
right?
months.
Yeah. This is a totally different conversation. Look, I just saw Nathan Frazier's name. Nathan Frazier's another one I would have said switch like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
God damn. I saw Paul Heyman's name. Man, could you imagine Paul Heyman in AEW?
Oh yeah, we
That's
gotta
my
switch those.
favorite.
Oh my god.
My favorite.
when in 2025 when he's running the company.
Honestly, yeah, he would be. Tony would have to have fucking someone watching over him at every turn. He's dangerous, man. He's a dangerous thing.
I
Hug his phone.
genuinely think
Bro,
Paul Heyman,
it would be a slow but steady process of
Yeah.
Paul
Monty.
Heyman just taking over the All
Paul
Elite
Heyman,
Wrestling
like-
company.
Paul Heyman just whispering in his ear after every Jacksonville loss. Hey, just I think they might need you here more. Fulham gets regulated again. Hey, maybe you
Yeah,
should think
man.
about staying here in England. You know, I don't know.
I genuinely believe Paul Heyman with the AEW roster would be like lethal. Like it would just be
Yeah.
like deadly, you know.
I agree.
Who do you think he would do a lesbian angle with?
No,
Ty Conti and somebody.
Anna J.
He would definitely do something extremely insane and scandalous with Sami and Ty.
yeah.
Shinsuke Nakamura.
He can stay.
Yeah, switch. Fuck it.
Switch.
I'm saying switch.
Let's have some fun.
Yeah, switching. Anything else? Not really. Nothing much to. That's about it.
Roderick Strong.
What did you? Who saw the press conference with Logan Paul and Roman Reigns?
I saw a bit. I saw some of it. It was actually very well
Right.
executed. I thought.
I thought it was fucking beast. That's that was awesome. My main takeaway is more press conferences and wrestling, please. So
If they're executed right, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm torn on it. because
no,
I think a lot of
even if they're
guys-
executed wrong.
I just think a lot of guys can do it in a way that makes it it does the opposite of what you want it to, where people kind of kind of laugh at it. They did a really good job. I think it has to be the right guys. Otherwise, it can do be counterproductive. I feel.
Yeah, we had a long conversation. I think we had like a 2-hour conversation about this yesterday, right, Joe? Like,
Yeah.
about what we want, because we're saying that the WWE style where they did was good because it's like kayfabe, and I don't know how you want to do it. And then if you look at the CM Punk one where he went crazy, you're just like, well, he said so many stuff that you want people to answer follow ups to, and nobody wanted to. They wanted to ask like how he enjoyed the show, and I'm just like, well, at this point he broke his character, and he's just like, ask about that. But then like, if you really want to keep it like storylines going and then all that, then just stay with the WWE route.
I'm just of the belief that I prefer wrestlers to be in character to some degree when talking to the broader media, and I think the purpose of these types of things should be first and foremost to promote something, to sell a ticket, to sell a pay-per-view, and I think sometimes it should just be looked at the whole talking to the wrestling media and just being like fanboys about stuff. I think it's fair to almost bring up what benefit is there, because obviously the extreme was the CM Punk thing in terms of the worst case scenario of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and look, hindsight is 2020. But I just think Tony should maybe look at if there is a benefit at this point to doing scrums. You know what I mean?
I think so, definitely. Yeah. It's probably the thing you should think about for the next one, I think.
Monty, is there any other news that we haven't touched on before we kind of speed through this, or are we kind of done with that?
I think we spoke about Malachi, we spoke about WarGames. It's not really been a crazy weekend or
Right.
anything.
No, we're just kind of vibing.
El Desperado won Wrestler of the Week.
Did any of you guys finally check that match out, or are you guys still frauds?
I haven't seen it.
I haven't watched it.
I've seen it. I saw it earlier.
Did you like it, Monty?
Yeah, he was
Oh
Oh no!
he was certainly
No.
I don't know how to explain it. No, it was a great match. I'm not about to
Okay.
like shit all over it.
Oh,
Are you just gonna be like,
Like,
are you gonna be like Dave, where it was a great match but you hated it?
No, I'm not. I don't mind death matches. Honestly, don't. The shoot headbutts.
What
yeah,
rating did you give it, Monty? What rating did you give it? 3.5?
No.
You know what's funny? Monty doesn't publicize his ratings, and I feel like there's a mystique because of that. I feel like I feel like Monty's mildly ambiguous internal ratings. Like Monty, I actually think about this sometimes because in the WrestlePeers group chat, like for certain AEW episodes, for example, like guys would be like, 4.5 for like just like pretty good matches and stuff, and then like Monty will just be like, was good or something. And, like,
Yeah. I know enough about Monty's ratings that I know that he's definitely the low man on most of their matches, almost certainly.
except Joe or like CM Punk or certain artists. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm not gonna name a certain account on here, but they post like their ratings on here on Twitter, and then like their spreadsheet, and then I saw them do like Ricky Starks and Hobbs 4 stars, and then they did like the Elite 3, and I was just like, come on, bro. I was like,
that's so
and then they do like Jericho and Danielson. They gave it 3.5, and then some other squash match like a high 4. I'm just like, come on, guys, like, what the fuck are we doing here?
I think our ratings overall are I think they're pretty inoffensive for the most part.
I agree. When you post when you post our aggregate ratings and people get mad, I'm always perplexed.
People get mad over like 1/4 of a star and shit. You know what I mean?
It's very weird. I can't remember a single match that we like just gave a preposterous like score to. You know. I don't know.
It always amazes me.
Some of Ash's ratings really pop me, to be honest, because I'll see all of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cheat.
Yeah.
I love when something gets 4 3/4 and there's like a quote of should have got 5, and it's like there's like 15 people voting on this thing, man.
Yeah.
So the worst one I saw was when Hangman, he didn't want to say his lucha ratings, and people just dog him for it. I'm just like,
oh my god. Yeah, that was crazy. He's talking about the Triple Mania, I think 5-way.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure.
Oh, I remember that deal. That's good stuff. Right, we better head off for Raw, right, Monday? I don't want. This is a big opportunity.
Before we go, this is a big platform, man. I just need one of you guys to send me a DM for the CMLL anniversary show. I know somebody has to have it. I keep asking people for it, and nobody has it.
Wow.
Yeah, I want that as well. Ain't you not anniversary, especially the mask versus mask match, because I've not seen it, but he got a 4.5 star rating from the WrestlePurists.com.
Alexa Bailey tonight in San Jose. Is that what's happening?
Is that happening?
Come on, we're talking about CMLL right now, all right?
Manny, I don't care. I'm booking a show. Folks, I'll see you over on Late Night Grin Twitch. Just do a watch along for that shit. Let's go. See you over there. Yeah.
I should tell you my @ name. It's Manny the Hooper. It's the DM.
Manny the Hooper.
I love Manny's new Twitter handle.
Very good. Yeah. Very good. Rebrand, brother. Monty, anything else? We're ready to go home here.
Nothing really. Just the match ratings from last week, rest of the week, the weekly Joshy guide, all that stuff went up today.
Terry Funk, I hope you're all right.
Always.
I mean, sure, yeah.
Forever. Yeah, I'm gonna be at Arthur Ashe, guys. I'm going to watch that taping. I'm kind of dreading.
You're gonna be on the show.
Don't know. I don't
hope
know.
you get there early.
That's what Tony had up his sleeve.
Yeah. I'm gonna be there. It's gonna be a long taping between Dark Elevation and 4 hours of televised content. So that'll be something. I'll try to, because I'm a trooper and love the game. I'm going to try to make the podcast tomorrow. I mean, the day after, even though I'll be working, I'll still try to make it. But yeah, man. Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Tremendous stuff, folks.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Absolutely. Anytime, pal.
Yeah.
This is your platform. You draw the house. You know that.
No, I don't.
Thumbs up on this, please, guys, if you enjoyed it. Subscribe. All that good stuff. We're back next Monday, right? This is a thing you can actually expect weekly.
Yeah, man. No, this is going to be a new weekly spot. And it'll basically be myself, Manny, Joe, backup Hangman, if he's off work and gets the free time. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be, the Thursdays are a lot of fun. This is obviously a lot more chilled out, I'd say. We have fun on the Thursdays, but this is just kind of like a more chilled out vibe to start the week.
If Thursday is the big explosive A show, right, with like the sports entertainment and stuff, is this like is this studio wrestling?
Studio wrestling, yeah.
Is this studio wrestling?
This is what I'm working for my whole career in this industry. I'm the studio show, Some nice little wrestling, just a nice time. Nothing too much. Not busy.
Thursday is Crash TV,
Yeah.
Thursday we're trying to pop a number.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, or here's example. Thursday is Raw in 1999, and Monday is Raw in 93, 2015, or like fucking
Hang on, I'm suddenly feeling worse about this
Oh,
situation.
Oh no, the bump. We're not the WrestlePeers bump, bro. What the fuck? Man?
Yeah. There is a lot of nodding of the head on this show, too. That's a trademark. Anyway, we'll see you next week for the bump, I guess.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Speak soon, folks.
Yes, I will be doing it at the Queen's funeral. Yes, I will be there.
You've missed it.
Oh, I missed it. Well, I'll watch it on replay.
Yeah, man.
It's really miss you.
Yeah.
Alexia, we miss you.
And get better car stickers to everybody.
Charlie, we miss you.
Thanks for watching.
Hangman, we miss you.